What are we doing, Seth?
You know, this is really amazing. This guy is not an inspiring actor. He's actually a Nollywood actor. Young dude, yeah, JNR Pope, that's the guy. And he's dead now. Why? So my question is, there's so many ways to look at this, but I'm just a little bit surprised why in 2024, there's so much ignorance, being naive, or just being lazy, or not just valuing life. Now, this is not saying that people do not want to live, but do you actually care about your life, number one? Do people around actually care about life generally? Now, the story goes, I'm sure most of you have heard the story about what happened to JNR Pope. He was on a boat and wanted to go to where they need to film a movie. He was with the crew, the production crew, and I think about 3 or 4 of them thereabout in the same boat, and they collided with another boat, and you know, they fell into the water, and they were, you know, JNR Pope especially was hanging in there for survival. But the decisions that folks that were trying to help, and I don't mean that in a bad way, maybe they actually wanted to help, but could it be out of ignorance, or how will you explain when somebody said he took JNR Pope's body, they carried him, took him to a herbalist? How do you explain that? I'm sure you must have seen the video. They took him to a herbalist, and the production, the people that are doing this are to a large extent educated, right? Or is it that they just took it for granted? Or they didn't just want to go out of their way to take that guy to where he could be saved? Or they were just ignorant? It took the native doctor to tell them to take this guy, he still has life in him. He was hanging in there, take him to the hospital so that they can save his life. It took a native doctor to tell him that. What are we doing, Seth? Okay, let's rewind a little bit. Now, JNR Pope and the crew were on the boat. First things first, did they wear a life jacket? That's number one. And I know Nigerians very well. They want to prove, they want to think that nothing's going to happen. Based on no facts. It's just braggadocious. Nothing's going to happen. I've been there before, blah, blah, blah. And they took life for granted. Number two, let's even say JNR Pope can swim. The crew, can they swim? Maybe none of them can even swim the way they can. It's not about swimming in their private pool, thinking when you just do a little bit of swinging. No. Can you swim though? That's number two. Number three, what are the standards put in place when anybody, whoever you are going on a boat? Is it a canoe? Was it even a canoe or a boat now? Were these standards in place, put in place? Whoever you are should have safety precautions. Regardless of whoever you are, regardless of the braggadocious or whatever you have, you must have those standards in place. Were any standards in place? I don't think so. So many things were not in place. Do you know in some developed countries, if you want to go to the beach and the beach does not look friendly, there's a red flag indicating that nobody can go near the beach until, you know, the beach is calm enough for people to go down and swim. Was the river or whatever they were on, was it safe for canoe at that period? What are these things put in place for such to take place in case the storm or whatever was volatile or was not friendly enough for people to be on it? Do we have those things in place? Because when it comes to life, there has to be lots of precautions. Because life is very fragile. Very, very fragile. You can lose life so easily like that. Life is very fragile. So things have to put in place. Have to be in place when it has to do with life. In this case, I don't think there were things put in place. That is the annoying part. And I mean, it's so bad when you hear of kidnapping in Nigeria. You hear kidnapping where kidnappers will just invade a school. Invade a school, no security, no fence, no police, no health facility, no nothing. In fact, the school looks isolated. It's in a remote area where it is so open to anything and everything. And, you know, life is not put first before anything. In the case of JNR Pope and the experience that they had, I think one person escaped the whole thing that happened. He lived to tell the story. JNR Pope and the production crew and all of that, most of them lost their lives because all these things were not put in. What are we doing, Seth? Before anything happens that has to do with life, and I'm sure You know what? Sometimes you keep saying this thing all the time. It's like, and it's not just us here. I mean, people say it all the time. If you are engaging in anything that has to do with life, in fact, if you have a company, an institution that wants to run business or production or whatever that has to do with people, the medical crew has to be at alert. You see how they do in football teams? There is no football team that does not have a medical team in place, in case anything happens. Most times, nothing happens, but just in case. That is how it should be. When it comes to anything that you're doing with people, life first, and the precautions you take. Regardless whether you're a big star, bigger star, biggest star, it does not matter. Because life is life. Whether you are tall, short, big, fat, whatever, life is life. And it's very what? Fragile. Junior Pope lost his life because nothing was in place. And you can imagine the orientation of people around there. I heard this was around Delta area and all of that. Riverine areas. Some of those rivers are volatile. There's no security. There's nothing. Everybody just do whatever they like. Even the life vest, you have to, in some cases, you hear that you rent them out. Some will even tell you it's not available. Some will say it's spoiled. There was one situation where the person does not even know how to use a life jacket. That person now put it on the head, on his or her head, as if it's some kind of helmet. What are we doing, Seth? Junior Pope will have even survived if one of them were able to apply the CPR. Maybe not just Junior Pope. I don't think anybody even knows how to apply a CPR for somebody. You see, these are the things I think even in our schools should teach everybody. It should be mandatory for life-saving consequences. It's so unfortunate that a young man, a very vibrant young man, popular Nollywood star, Junior Pope in this case, lost his life because of ignorance, naiveness, and not taking life seriously. Not trying to protect life. Not necessarily Junior Pope trying to protect his own life, but the mentality that is involved around life saving is very, very low. It's very, very poor. And things like this happen. We are only hearing of Junior Pope. I'm sure there are many cases where people take things for granted and life has been lost and it's not accounted for. What are we doing, Seth? It's about time standards should be set on situations, on anything that has to do with life and the activities of man. Generally, we need to look out for each other, and policies should be in place where the government should make sure that whatever you do that has to do with people, all those things when it comes to saving lives has to be in place. Medical crew, if you are going on a cruise or on a boat, the standard that should be applied to everybody that is on board and all the likes. Nothing should be taken for granted. In this case, a lot was taken for granted and the inevitable happened. It's unfortunate that another Nollywood star has been lost that shouldn't have even happened at all, has taken place, and everybody's just going to talk about it and it will die all everything will just go away, and before you know it, back to normal. As if nothing happened until it happens again. Hey, folks, what do you think? Those things, do you think it is necessary for government to invest in the life of people and ensure that whatever that has to do with life should be considered first before money? Or it doesn't matter? What it is, it is. Really? It's something we should think about. Let me get your thoughts on this one. What other ideas do you have to ensure that life is preserved as much as possible? You cannot afford to just waste life. You're supposed to sustain it. What's your take on this one, folks? Let me get your take in the comments. Drop your comments and let me get your thoughts on this one. If you really see that life is worth saving. Okay? Always remember, do unto others what you want others to do unto you. Talk to you folks again. Bye-bye.
What are we doing, Seth?